back in here. I want to definitely finish up this stuff. Yeah.
For today, I don't really have any way to pick up my kid after school, so I'm gonna have to take off.
So when you gotta go, you gotta go. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Just do your thing. Remember, I'll send you guys all the notes and stuff. So yep. Oh, like literally right now. Okay. Yep. All right. So we left for lunch talking about sources of radiation, right? Where do we get radiation from in our daily lives? What we would call our background radiation, right? So we talked about natural radiation, and we came up with a number right around 3 milligray, right? 3/1000th of a gray in a year. Okay, that's natural background. But we have to add on medical applications too. Okay, as well, we're going to have to add on man-made applications that are not like natural background. So medical applications include everything in medicine: dental X-rays, diagnostic X-rays, CT, nuclear medicine, radiation therapy, bone densitometry. What's interesting is all these others require some form of shielding from the patient. In bone densitometry, you actually sit right next to the patient. It's so low, such a low dose, you can sit right there with the patient and be in the room with them. But these are all medical applications that are, they're done when they're medically necessary. So across a population, we average about 3.2 milligray or 3,200 microgray per year, which is about the same as the natural background, right? So man-made radiation is about the same level, man-made medical radiation, about the same level as your natural background. Man-made medical applications account for 75% of all of the man-made radiation. That means 25% of the man-made radiation is coming from non-medical sources. 1 in 3 people gets an X-ray each year. So we're in August right now, so it might be an okay time. Who's had an X-ray this year? It's 1, 2, 3. 3 of us? All right. How many people do we have in class? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 3 out of 12? It's 1/4. There you go. 4 out of 12? That's 1/3. There, 1/3 of the classes had an X-ray this year. Have a good day. We are a big enough sample, right, to say that 1/3 of us have had an X-ray this year, which matches the average for people across the U.S. 1 in 3 people get an X-ray each year. Okay, so that's man-made source, about 3,200 microgray, 3.2 milligray. Those were medical applications. Lastly, let's talk about man-made background radiation. So a medical X-ray, a medical radiation is like on purpose. We gave it to you because you needed it, right? Well, man-made background you're going to get from just being around things made by people, okay? Building materials, technologies, power plants, waste products, all of that. So cigarettes, right? If you smoked a pack a day, you yourself would be exposing yourself to 20 to 50 milligray, 20,000 to 50,000 microgray per year at 1 pack a day. Now, I don't know many people that smoke 1 pack a day, but those that do are exposing themselves to a significant dose. That is, 10 to 20 something times stronger, more than you would get from the natural background every year, right? So you're getting a significant amount more by smoking cigarettes. That's elements like polonium and lead. Polonium-210, lead-210. The 210 is giving you the isotope number, effectively telling you how big the atom actually is. But notice there's numbers here. This is why cigarette smoke is harmful. If you look at 18% of whatever's in the cigarette stays in the butt of the cigarette, 10% in the filter. I don't know why the butt and the filter are separated here, but the point is some stays back in the cigarette. 50% goes into the ash of the cigarette, then hopefully just goes somewhere in the ashtray or something. 22% goes into the smoke. This is why secondhand smoke can be harmful. Okay, some of that smoke, 15% of that 22%, so 15% of smoke is inhaled. Any inhaled particles stay in the lungs, and here's the bad part: permanently. Your lungs do not have a way of removing the radioactive elements from them. They will sit in your lung tissue and continually irradiate your lung tissue for as long as the half-life for polonium-210 is. Later on in this lecture, because I don't bother remembering the half-life for polonium and lead-210, they have a half-life, and we're going to learn it later, okay, how long it stays radioactive for. Okay.
Is this just for cigarettes or
That's just cigarette smoke in this case. So that's the level, that's how much you get. And this isn't talking about secondhand smoke. Secondhand smoke's a little harder to figure out because we have to know like how much of it you're exposed to, how much you actually inhaled. But at least with like actually smoking cigarettes, we can say if you smoke this whole cigarette 20 times a day, this is what you'll get, right? Whole pack per day. But this number is for cigarettes. Nuclear warfare, right, is another part of the natural background, right? So fallout from nuclear bomb tests. We've tested nuclear weapons many times in history. Strontium-90 is the element coming from that. That's out there, going to be in our bodies, in our food that we eat, in the water that we drink. It's just going to be there. Remember, they don't go away. That's the point. Hiroshima, 40,000 people vaporized instantly. 100,000 die in 3 to 4 days from acute radiation syndrome, and 100,000 more within a couple of years from radiation poisoning in the water and the food and their own bodies. So that is still part of the natural background, although it may be a little harder to quantify what we would be getting because that happened in a specific part of the world. It does and did affect the world's things like water supply and food, but importantly, it's in a single location at a single time. Other sources, I always think these are interesting to me. Your TV. Your TV is a little bit, emits a little bit of radiation. Now, not particulate radiation, but like electromagnetic radiation. 10 to 20 microgray per year. Glossy magazines. The clay that they mine to make the glossy material on the face of magazines and books too, on the pages of our books, it ends up with uranium and potassium-40 in it in small amounts. Because of that, you get about 40 microgray per year of radiation, which is a little bit less than bananas. If you ate one banana per day and read a book every day, you're getting a little bit less from the book than you are from the banana. Okay, the banana is a little bit more radioactive, 50 microgray per year at one banana per day. Brick houses, uranium and thorium are the elements in the brick, 100 microgray per year. Enamel jewelry has uranium in it, small amounts, 250 to 40,000 microgray per year. Fertilizers and foods with fertilizers in them, potassium-40 is in that, 1 to 2,000 microgray, so 1 to 2 milligray per year. Smoke detectors. Smoke detectors actually use a little radioactive element in there that when smoke hits it, the element emits a small piece of itself and generates a small electric current, and that's how the smoke detector knows that it's received smoke. Anyways, but that uses a small amount of radioactive element in there. Living near power plants, right? You get something living near a nuclear power plant, but you get 3 times more living near the coal-fired power plant. So 0.1 microgray for nuclear, 0.3 microgray for coal-fired. Notice you're getting, a significant amount more, right? Eating bananas. Yeah. So the potassium in bananas gives you way more radiation than living by a power plant. So power plants are not a big factor in, things like genetic mutation and cancer, right? People may want to attribute it to living near those things, but it's just not. The actual numbers that you get are not high enough. They're not even anywhere near, your natural background from any other thing. Glossy magazines or TVs, right? Way more than coal-fired power plants living nearby them. So let's sum it all up, put it on a pie chart, and put it here too. 1,000 microgray from non-radon sources, 1 to 2,000 microgray from radon sources, 400 from man-made background, 3,200 from medical use, all man-made sources adding up to about 3,600 microgray, 3.6 milligray. Adding that on to the natural background puts us up to about 5,600 to 6,600 microgray of absorbed dose per year, 5 to 6-ish milligray per year on average. Again, where you live changes things a little bit. How many bananas and cigarettes you eat or smoke changes things a little bit, right? But on average, the average person gets about that much per year. Put it on a pie chart, it becomes a little more obvious what's doing most of the exposure. So where's most of the exposure coming from? Medical radiation, right? 51% In fact, the majority of all radiation people get in a year comes from medical applications. X-rays, CT scans, dental X-rays, and so forth. Most of the rest of it comes from radon gas. And all the rest of that pie comes from the other things: terrestrial, internal, consumer goods, cosmic radiation. But the point of learning all of this is, learning the sources is, where's it coming from? It's coming from our use, the stuff that we're in charge of, right? The X-ray machines, okay? So medical radiation accounts for the majority, 51%. So it's important that because we are half of this, right, that we use medical radiation in a purposeful and safe way around our patients, always practicing that ALARA principle. Because if we can keep our doses low, then we can keep the effect of this use of radiation low as reasonably achievable, at least, to our patients.